You watching this right now, you need a budget. This is important, especially if we're gonna continue making finance videos in the future and you guys have more finance questions moving forward. A budget is necessary if you're young, old, broke, rich. You need a budget. It can never hurt you to have one. And what do I mean exactly by budget? It means keeping track of all of your expenses and the best you can of your income. For some people, income is all over the place and unpredictable. And for a lot of you who don't have a budget, your expenses are unpredictable and all over the place. You don't know what they're gonna be because you don't know if there's gonna be a spur of the moment sudden, hey, I wanna buy this, I feel like buying this. Having a budget will help you understand exactly where your money is going, and you can review it each month to know where you can improve. So in another video, we might dive into what our monthly budget is and get into the nitty-gritty details, but I wanted to talk in today's video on finance, just specifically about why a budget makes such a huge difference. And I know this because for many, many years after I moved out of my parents' house, I did not have one. I basically ate wherever I wanted, I bought whatever I felt like, and as long as the balance in my bank account was not zero, then I was good. You know, that was my budget, whatever the bank account says. But you will thank yourself so much more later if you accommodate for savings within your budget, as well as how much am I going to spend on each thing per month. And it may not sound fun, it's not that exciting. However, in the long run, it really does open up more options for you. Otherwise, you will just blow everything you have, and then years and years of work go by and you realize you don't really have anything to show for it because you've spent it all and there was no savings in the first place. So the whole idea with budgeting is that you can kind of set goals for yourself of, I don't want to spend more than this much on food, or I want to get my subscriptions down to this amount because maybe a lot of them we're not utilizing that well. This is something we did a couple of months into our marriage. At first, we looked over all our expenses and we're like, okay, we're spending several $1,000s a month between rent and food and subscription services. So once we started diving into them, we realized there was a lot of stuff we were paying for that didn't really get used that much and wasn't really that utilized. And if we didn't have a budget and we didn't analyze where all of our money was going, we wouldn't have seen those things and we would have continued paying for them and not really know that there was so much money just coming out of our bank account slowly each month and not being utilized properly. Things like we had a Hulu subscription and I used to subscribe to Twitch Turbo and we used to pay for the top tier Netflix plan, but at the end of the day we realized we were spending all of our time watching YouTube anyway. So having all of these different subscriptions is really how these businesses get you. I think I've talked about this before, but it's really true that the idea of the subscription service is to get people out of the mindset of choosing to buy something. You know, a company most of the time is trying to convince you to buy a product and you have to convince yourself that it is worth it for what the product is going to offer, whereas a service can really change things up because they only kind of have to convince you once, and once you get subscribed to that, oh, it's only once a month, that only happens once every 30 days, they're counting on you not having a budget, and that means you don't think about that money coming out of your bank account anymore until it's already too late. You look at some of your expenses and you're like, wait, there was a $10 charge here. Oh, that's right, I signed up for blah blah blah, and I guess I use that sometimes. And then you have to decide if you want to cancel that subscription. You have to decide if you want to act on removing that service, and because you might occasionally use that service, you're like, oh yeah, I used that like 5 days ago or something. Then you're like, it's not worth it, I utilize it, it's fine. So with having a budget, you can exactly see not just how much something costs on the monthly basis, but it really helps to understand, like, okay, $10 a month doesn't sound like much, but what if it's $120 a year? What if you just looked over some of your expenses, realized some things that you weren't appreciating or weren't utilizing that much, and realized, what if you just got rid of that one slight convenience and now you get an extra $120 every single year? Now that you can see how that finance is helping you, it allows you to set more goals for yourself leading forward. So the real tough one that I struggle with personally is a food budget, because before we started budgeting on a monthly basis, it was really easy for us to just go out to our favorite restaurants, buy as much food as we wanted, because all of us stress eat. I think we understand that terminology. We get tired of work, we get stressed out, and we're like, you know what? Let's just fill the pains of everyday life with that super greasy, salty food we love so much. And we don't really think about how much we're spending on a monthly basis. I feel like most people think that fast food is cheap because, you know, it's quick and it's a lot cheaper than a sit-down restaurant. So obviously it's somewhat affordable, but after going to fast food day after day after day, you realize how much money is spent on a monthly basis, and having a budget helps helps you understand, hey, holy crap, look at how much money is going away every month. So me and my wife now are very much on top of our food budget best we can be. Sometimes we've broken it a little bit, but for the most part, we've stayed fairly strict to our $200 a month food budget. Doesn't have to be that for you. It can be whatever you want, but just try to set goals for yourself. If you look at what you've spent in the past with reckless spending and not having a budget, try to see if you can lower your average at least bring it down from what it used to be by setting certain goals for yourself and trying to challenge yourself in situations where you say, okay, I really want food right now, but we set that $200 limit, so I don't really want to go much over that, so I'm gonna try to just get more groceries and cook stuff from home. And the hardest part about food budgeting is we all need to do it. It's not really something you can quit, like Apple Music or iCloud storage or YouTube Premium, stuff like that. You can just cancel if you absolutely need to. Food is like, you gotta eat no matter what, and if you're not eating every day, you have even bigger problems. I'm sorry, that's not the point I'm trying to get across here, but the budget should hopefully challenge you to see if you can spend less if possible. And during the crazy times we're in right now, figuring out ways of lowering your expenses, I think, should be more crucial than ever. But those are just the two biggest ones between subscription services, products, but oftentimes when it comes to big purchases like products, it doesn't happen every month, but there are some little things that you buy here and there that you could consider in your miscellaneous or shopping budget. So things that, you don't buy a new iPhone every single month unless you're a tech reviewer, but you can look at the average throughout the year. How much do I spend on technology within a 12-month period? How does that divide up on a monthly basis? And then try to keep the number or the average between all the months throughout the year below a certain amount. Just kind of set goals for yourself in that way, and I guarantee you, if you accommodate these habits and you try to set new goals for yourself and get better at them, at following them over time, it makes it all the more satisfying when you do get to splurge a little bit on something, because you'll have savings and money that you can put aside for a rainy day and put money into things like a retirement account, let that accumulate interest over time. And honestly, that just frees up so much of your life in the future that you will absolutely thank your past self. So there's all kinds of budgeting apps out there. Mint is a great one, not Mint Mobile. This is a different Mint. We use that for a lot of our budgeting apps. Even the Apple Card built in some budgeting tools and stuff like that. But if you're thinking about doing it, or if you haven't done it yet, I implore you to look into it. Try setting some goals. Even if you don't want to do an entire budget yet on all your expenses, just start with one. Just start with services or food or products and how much you shop and how much miscellaneous expenses end up in your life. Just start with something and see if you can set those goals for yourself. That's all I got for you in today's video. Thank you all for watching. Take care. Stay safe.